Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Stark Library. Welcome to Cricut Crafting. Today we are going to be doing one of my favorite crafts with the Cricut. We are going to be making faux leather earrings. And there are a lot of different ways you can do this. This earring right here is just faux leather that we use the Cricut to cut out, but you can also use heat transfer vinyl and layer it on top of your faux leather. So a good example of that is this one right here. So you'll see that I cut it out of the faux leather and then I layered that heat transfer vinyl to make a half moon shape. The ones we're going to be making today have a holiday theme. So we're going to be cutting our leather out using the Cricut, and then we are going to just put that little decal on using the heat transfer vinyl. So today there are some things you're going to need. Of course, we're always going to be using our Cricut, and today we're going to be using the Explore Air 2. We are also going to be using the Easy Press Mini, but you can just use a regular iron at home. For your materials, we're going to be using a piece of heat transfer vinyl and then a piece of faux leather. For your mats, we're going to be using two today. We are going to use the purple strong grip mat for the faux leather, and then we're going to be using the green standard grip mat for that heat transfer vinyl. To assemble the earrings, you're going to want earring hooks and jump rings. You're going to want a couple of pairs of pliers to assemble your earrings. You're going to want the fine point blade for your Cricut, and then we're also going to be using a pair of scissors. So to get started, I'm going to take you over to the Cricut Design Studio and we will work on designing our earring.
So as I said before, downloaded some earring designs from the internet, and you can see those over here at the right-hand side. And the reason you can't see them on the canvas is because you see this little eye, it has that little strike mark. That means I've hidden it from the canvas. But let me pick, I think I'm going to use this one today. And I am going to size that up. I like bigger earrings. So this is totally based on your preference, but I'm going to do 2.5 inches for my height. And of course, I'm going to duplicate that so I have a second earring. And as you can see, the SVG file, it already had that little cut at the top, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to be doing a heat transfer vinyl decal on top of my faux leather. So I'm going to go into images. And the holidays are coming up, so I want to do a holiday themed earring. That's why I like this so much, so it's very customizable. If you wanted to do something for the fall, you could do a pumpkin. If you want to do something for Easter, you can do a little bunny rabbit. I'm going to go with this tree right here, and I'm going to insert that image. Now this image is multi-layered, and the reason you can tell that is over here in the layers panel, there's multiple cuts. So you'd be layering this together, and I don't want all of those layers, so I'm going to hide all of those layers until all I'm left with is the tree, because that's all I really want for this project. So now instead of being multi-layered, this is one layer, and I'm going to drag that over on top of the earring and make sure it's the correct size, and I think that's about right. Okay, and I'm going to drag this over, and I'm going to duplicate that. And just keep in mind, since we're going to be cutting the teardrop and the trees out of two different materials, you want them to be two different colors. So they'll be cut out of different mats. So if you go to make it, you'll see that they're cut from on two different mats. All right, let's get to cutting.
So now that we have our earrings designed, we're going to get to loading our mat. So for the faux leather, you're going to want to use the strong grip mat. And if you don't have this on hand, you can use the standard grip, but if that's the case, I highly recommend you use some tape to help secure it to the mat. This tends to be a little floppy, and you need that extra adhesion to keep it still while it's cutting. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put it print side down. You'll notice that the backing of your faux leather is fabric and it doesn't adhere as well to the mat. So I'm just going to take this and put it print down. as I said before, this can be a little bit tricky, so you're just going to want to press it really well. So we have our faux leather adhered. Next, we're going to move to the standard grip mat, and we're going to be putting our heat transfer vinyl onto this one. So loading your heat transfer vinyl can be a little tricky. You're going to want to put it vinyl side up, and sometimes you can't always tell which side has the transfer paper and what side has the vinyl. What I like to do is I like to use my fingernail and pull it up a little bit on the corner. There we go. So you're going to want the vinyl side up, and typically the vinyl side is going to be shinier than the transfer paper side, but I'm just going to load this like so. And then for the heat transfer vinyl, you're going to struggle with bubbles, so I recommend you use a credit card to help get those bubbles out. I'm just going to use my hand and smooth it out. Okay. Next, we're going to put our blade into the Cricut, so I'm going to load this right here. And we are going to start by cutting our faux leather. So I'm going to do that really quick, and then I'm going to cut out my heat transfer vinyl, and then we'll get to assembling the earrings. So I cut out the base of my earrings, which is the faux leather, and next we have to get our Christmas trees out of the heat transfer vinyl, and this can be a little tricky sometimes. What I like to do is I use my scissors to cut out my design, so I'm not working with a super big piece. And you want to pull away starting with the vinyl side. So like we did before, we're just going to use our nail and pull up that vinyl. So you're pulling away at that vinyl, and you want to make sure that the vinyl that's part of your design is staying on the transfer paper. So take this slow. And we're not going to need this for this design, but keep in mind, if you have small pieces, you can use a weeding tool to pull away any excess. Okay, there we go. And now we have our true little Christmas trees on our transfer paper. So I am going to cut these out, just so I can separate the two. And next we want to adhere the heat transfer vinyl onto our faux leather. And I'm going to use the Easy Press Mini, but you can use a regular iron. Faux leather can be very sensitive, so you want to make sure that you have it at the lowest heat setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to align my Christmas tree where I want it. And I have an extra piece of that transfer paper. I don't want my iron to be touching any part of the faux leather directly, so I'm just trying to protect my earring by placing this on top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my Easy Press Mini and I'm going to put it right over the sign, and I'm going to hold it there for about 30 seconds. So once that's done, you can just pull this away, and you want to give the heat transfer vinyl a couple of seconds to cool off. But once it's warm to the touch, you can start pulling it away. And you want to do this slowly, because if it hasn't adhered correctly, you can always go back over it with the iron. But I'm just going to pull this off, and it attached perfectly. So there is our earring with our little Christmas tree. I'm going to repeat this with the other earring, and then we will assemble the earring with the earring hooks. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assemble the earrings using the earring hooks. And what you're going to want to do is you're definitely going to want a pair of pliers to help you with this. But we are going to start with our jump rings. And one thing to keep in mind when you're using your jump rings is you don't want to pull them apart. What you want to do is you want to go backwards to forwards. So you're going to pull it like this. You're going to just open it up. So I'm going to open up our jump ring. See, I'm going to pull this forward just to open it up. And I'm going to attach this jump ring to our earring hook. And then to close it, all you have to do is bring that front right back to where it started. Okay, so we have our one earring hooked on. Next, we're going to take another jump ring. And we're going to open it up. And we're going to attach this one to our earring. And at this stage, you could actually arrange it so the earring was attached to the earring. But I don't like to do that. I think it's a little tricky to get this jump ring onto the earring. So we're just going to close that up. And we're going to go back to our earring hook. And we're going to open this jump ring up one more time, ever so slightly. And one thing you want to make sure is when the earring is actually on your ear, you want to make sure it's facing forward. So just make sure to put it on in the right direction. And then we're just going to close that up. Again, bringing it forward to back. And then there we go. We have our cute little holiday earring. I'm going to finish up with the second one and then I'll show you the finished result. And there we have it, our two completed earrings. It's a really easy project, and with the holidays coming up, I think it's a really great gift idea as well, and it takes minutes. Another nice feature is that you can make a lot of these all at once. Thank you for joining us for Cricut Crafting, and I hope you join us next time.